everyone, my name is Zach. I am the Traveling Man, and I come to you today from onboard Celebrity Cruises' brand new ship, the Celebrity Beyond. In my opinion, Celebrity Cruises is where you're going to find the best food at sea. So since food is such an important part of cruise travel and going on a cruise, and because Celebrity does have such amazing food, I've always thought, how can I best present all the food that you can eat on a cruise? So with this video, I'm essentially going to walk you day by day and show you pictures and video of where I ate, what I ate, and let you know a little bit about it, what I thought about it, etc. So this is a comprehensive food guide of all the food available to you on board Celebrity Beyond, all the food I've tried during my cruise. So before we get started, if you're not subscribed to my channel, why don't you go down below, hit that subscribe button. Also make sure you check out my website, ZachTheTravelingMan.com. I have a lot of extra content over there for you. And I also have a free travel guide over there available to you for an instant digital download. So on the first day of the cruise, when I boarded, in Rome, I went up to Oceanview Cafe. Oceanview Cafe is the buffet area on board Celebrity ships. This is your typical cruise ship buffet that cruises are famous for, but the food in there, all the food I've had, this is my third Celebrity cruise, all the food's hot, all the food's delicious. So once you go all the way through the buffet, at the very back of the ship on deck 14, they have a pizza station, and I would say it's 24 hours, but I don't think that's true. I think it's only limited. I think it's like noon to 1 a.m. or something like that. But they have delicious pizza back there, and I find myself going back there often to get a slice or two. So the buffet any time of day is good. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'll probably eat there some more on the cruise, but I just wanted to let you know up front that the buffet is good. So the first place I ate for dinner, the first night of the cruise, I ate at Blue Restaurant. Now Blue is an exclusive restaurant available only to those guests book in Aqua Class staterooms. Now Aqua Class on Celebrity are essentially spa rooms, or spa suites is what other cruise lines call these. And this just means that you get exclusive access to the thermal suites in the spa, you get discounts on spa treatments and like priority spa reservations. But the biggest perk to me is that you get to dine at Blue, because I feel like Blue is a specialty restaurant all to itself. Now Celebrity does have 4 main dining restaurants on their Edge class ships. They have the Tuscany restaurant, they have Cyprus, they have Cosmopolitan, and they have Normandie. And these are sort of rotational. You can go to any of the 4 each night of the cruise and rotate them around. They all have exclusive menus. Those are included as part of your cruise. I always think that Blue is like a 5th main dining venue, but it's only available to those guests in Aqua Class. For me, when I upgrade to Aqua Class, because it can be a substantial upgrade from just a typical balcony stateroom, I do it not for really the spa perks. I mean, that's nice. I like to go in there sometimes. I do it especially for Blue, because I think the food in Blue is just like the food you can get at one of the specialty restaurants that you're going to pay, you know, $50 or $60 a night to go to. I think it's incredible food. The service is spectacular. This is the second cruise that I've had Blue, and typically they'll put you with the same wait staff if they can each evening. So you've got wait staff that knows you, they know your preferences, they have sommeliers who remember your preferences. So it's a really cool experience. And the food in Blue is sort of designed around clean eating. It's you know, maybe some healthier options in there than you'll find in other places across the ship. And the food is just always so good. So I went to Blue the first night of the cruise, and for my appetizer I had the lump crab martini. This was delicious. Lump crab, it was just served in a martini bowl, and it had these crispy like onion straws with it. I'd have to highly recommend that. I really enjoyed that. Now the main this evening, probably the best ribeye I've ever had anywhere ever. It was a grilled ribeye. It had this wonderful red sauce on it. It had some crispy onion straws on it as well. And y'all, that was just a tender cut of meat. Just literally just melt in your mouth ribeye. And food like this is why I say that eating at Blue is like eating at a specialty dining venue, because I didn't have to pay a ton of money extra. I didn't have to pay any money extra. It was included with my stateroom that I booked, to have probably one of the best cuts of meat on the ship. So that's the kind of experience that you're gonna have at Blue. You're gonna have food that's gonna make you feel like you're at some high-end restaurant and you didn't even have to pay any additional money for it. And then for my dessert, I had the sticky toffee pudding, and that was thumbs up also. So great first night in Blue. So the second day of the cruise, woke up in Naples. I had an early tour that day, so I didn't go to any sit down or any buffet for breakfast. I actually just went up to the Spa Cafe. When I was on Celebrity Edge a couple months ago, they actually had this homemade granola that they served in the Spa Cafe each morning. Spa Cafe is located on deck 14 up near the solarium. However, they didn't have that granola this time, and I was quite disappointed that they didn't have it because it was so good when I tried it on the Edge. I didn't really care for what I did have for breakfast there. It was just like some cold takeaway items. So I ended up just grabbing a coffee, getting off the ship, going on my tour. I was on a tour for like 9 hours, so the next meal I had on board was dinner. So this was technically my first specialty dining experience of this cruise, and I went to a place I've not been to before. I was kind of put off by it on the Celebrity Edge and Celebrity Apex because it's an outdoor venue, the Rooftop Garden Grill. And on those ships, there's actually a walking track that extends around the back of the restaurant. And so I like to use the walking track, and I've walked through there so many times, and it feels like you're just disturbing everyone's meal because they're sitting down having their dinner, and all of a sudden here comes someone walking or jogging just right around right near their table. However, the Rooftop Garden Grill has been reimagined, it's been redesigned, the walking track no longer runs through there, it's been moved to another part of the ship. It's a much better venue now, it's actually more closed in, they've added glass, so I wanted to try it and see how it was for the first time, and y'all, don't sleep on the Rooftop Garden Grill. There was no one there, first of all. There was like one other table in the whole venue, so the service was spectacular. There were like 6 servers just waiting. I actually got my pick of table. They walked me in and they were like, here you go. Like, no one else is coming other than the people that are here, so just go sit down wherever. So that was incredible. The food was even more incredible. For my starter, I had the dry rub chicken wings, and I'm a big fan of chicken wings. I've eaten a lot of chicken wings in my day, and these chicken wings were incredible. I could have just eaten chicken wings and been very happy with my experience at Rooftop Garden Grill. I also had a Caesar salad. I don't know how you perfect or make perfect a Caesar salad. You know, a salad's just a salad typically, but that Caesar salad was top notch. They actually grilled the lettuce a little bit, so it had just a little bit of extra flavor to it, and I really enjoyed the Caesar salad. One of the best Caesar salads, hands down, that I've ever had. So for my main entree, I really couldn't decide. There's like several different sections to the menu, and you can find the menu to Rooftop Garden Grill on Celebrity's website if you're curious what all they have. But they had like grilled favorites, which was like, they had like a filet mignon, they had a grilled ribeye, which I just had the night before, so I didn't want to get that again. They had a T-bone steak and pork chops and grilled chicken. Then they had this seafood kebab, so I was like, I'll try that, that sounds good. So this was just like some salmon, it was some scallops on a skewer, it was some vegetables, a couple of those on rice, that was really good. And then I also opted to have the full rack of barbecue ribs. Now let me just say, I feel like barbecue is a very niche type of thing. If you're gonna make it, it's a very specialty type of thing. You really, if you want good ribs, you need to go to like a restaurant that specializes in barbecue, right? That they know barbecue is just what they do. That being said, the ribs at Rooftop Garden Grill were not that great. They were kind of tough. It might have been beef ribs, and I'm not a fan of beef ribs. I think they're very tough. Also, the barbecue sauce that they use on the ribs is very tangy. I usually like a sweeter barbecue sauce, but this was almost sour, so wasn't a big fan of the ribs. However, it did come with cornbread, and who doesn't like cornbread, y'all? This cornbread was so good. It almost tasted like Jiffy. If you ever had Jiffy Mix, you know what's up. It kind of tasted like that. It had that very sweet flavor to it. It also had jalapenos in it. It was so good. For my sides, I had mac and cheese. Oh, it was so incredible. I had French fries. They were so piping hot and warm when they came out. So crispy, so good. And I also had baked beans. Not normally a fan of baked beans, but I did want to try them with the barbecue, and I wasn't disappointed. So all in all, I felt like Rooftop Garden Grill was incredible. I think had I not got the ribs, had I gotten anything else, it would have been like 2 thumbs up amazing. So I'm not gonna knock them for that. Like I said, barbecue is just a thing you either do really well or you don't do at all. Go try Rooftop Garden Grill. It doesn't look like anyone's trying it. The first night of the cruise, they were selling it at a discount, trying to book it up for the week, but it's a great place to eat, a fantastic eatery, so I highly recommend you try it. Especially if you're selling the Beyond, because I feel like the new venue that they have, the way they've reimagined it, is spectacular. So day 3 of the cruise, we were in Sicily, another long day. I didn't have breakfast or lunch on the ship, and for dinner, I had an early dinner, beautiful dinner, sitting right by the window, looking out at Sicily and the mainland of Italy. Another great night of food, another great night of service. When I first entered the restaurant, I was actually the only person in there for a large amount of time before anyone else came in, so the service was spectacular. For my starter, the server recommended that I tried the crispy boars and cheese, and y'all, that was fantastic. It was almost like a crispy wonton, you know, that has creamy cheese in it. It was so good. It came with roasted red peppers and some type of toasty cashew sauce, which was so incredible. She also recommended for my main that I had the lump crab and mushroom risotto, and that was also another home run of a recommendation because that was a fantastic main dish. And for my dessert that night, I had the Sacher Torte, and that was also fantastic. And that brings us to the sea day, the only sea day we have this cruise. You can, each day of the cruise actually, whether we're in port or not, they are open at Grand Bistro for lunch. And it's actually a cover charge, it's $20. But you get a lot of food. It's a French themed lunch. For my starter, I had a crepe. It was a huge crepe. It had some roasted red peppers with it, on top of some tomato sauce, and that was incredible. So big for an appetizer, like that could have been the entire lunch in and of itself, but you know me, I like to eat, I didn't stop there. So for my soup, I had my favorite soup, lobster bisque, and this was served under a puff pastry. And y'all, hear me when I say I've had a lot of lobster bisque over all the many cruises I've been on and my travel. That was the best lobster bisque I've ever had. It was just icing on the cake per se to have that puff pastry on top of the soup. It was so good. It was so creamy, such a good flavor. I absolutely loved it. For my main, I ended up going with the double truffle burger, and the server said that this is not on the menu, and it wasn't. It was just something he told me about. It's the chef's specialty, he said. Not even exaggerating. I promise you, I mean this with everything. This was the best hamburger I've ever had, and I don't even know how that's possible. I didn't know a hamburger could be this good. The meat, it was almost seemed like they, ground that from maybe some like steak and premium cuts of meat. It was so good. That burger was cooked to perfection. The cheese was like melted down in the patties. It was served on this like potato bun that was so soft. I mean, I just can't even explain how good that burger just melted in my mouth. The fries that they have there are homemade fries. Those are incredible too. Washed it all down with good Coke Zero, and that was enough to like fill me for the entire day. I'm supposed to actually eat at Le Voyage tonight, which is the new restaurant here on board the ship, but I'm pretty stuffed and I may have to change that to another night of the cruise. For dessert, I had the apple tart, and it had some cream on top of that, some whipped cream. That was fantastic as well. So y'all, if you've never been to Grand Bistro for lunch, I had been in there for dinner, for the dinner experience that they had, but never at lunch. But I'll never not go again, I'll tell you that. So on the sea day, I actually had so much food for lunch at Le Grand Bistro, I actually just wanted something light for dinner. So of course, Blue, there's a lot of light options there, so naturally that's where I went. And I told the server, no bread, I don't want anything but just a salad. They actually had a chimichurri skirt steak salad on the menu that evening. So that's what I got. It was very light, it was very refreshing, just the perfect amount of chimichurri on the salad. It was delicious. The staff, once again, was incredible. Love going in there. They take such great care of me. No, I'd actually had Le Voyage scheduled for the same night that I had the Grand Bistro for lunch, and I decided I couldn't do that, so I called. They were happy to change it for the next night. So now we're going to fast forward to the next night and talk about Le Voyage. Now, Le Voyage is the brand new eatery on Celebrity Beyond. It's never been on any celebrity ship before, and it's sort of the brainchild of Celebrity's executive chef, Daniel Boulud. So I had really high expectations for this. This was actually something that I booked months prior to the cruise. Since it was a new eatery, I just assumed that a lot of people would be going for it. Everybody would want to eat there. But it does come with quite the hefty cover charge. It's $75 per person. Now this is different from the other specialty dining on the ship, which is usually $55 per person. So it's $20 more cover charge. So with all that in mind, I'm like, it's going to be a great experience. It's going to be the best meal on the ship. First of all, the service in there was absolutely incredible. There were only, I think, 3 or 4 tables in there at the time I was in there. So we each had a server on us, and they kept the water coming, anything we needed. They were very attentive. Service could not have been better. 100% absolutely satisfied with the service I received there. The restaurant itself, it does have a very nice ambiance. It is located just off the Grand Atrium, and there's actually 2 sets of double sliding doors that you go through to actually get in the dining room. So you're pretty sealed off, even though you're right there by the martini bar and you think you might get some of the sound, some of the music come in. You actually don't, which is pretty nice. There are no windows in there, so you do feel like you're in a restaurant. You could be anywhere. You could be, in New York City, you could be in Paris, you could be on land, anywhere eating in a restaurant. That's really the ambiance that it has, and it's very effective in there. The server did explain that they have sort of a couple of different things you can do. They have a tasting menu, which is 5 or 6 courses. That's $125 per person, but I had already paid for the $75 meal, and I didn't want to pay any more than that. I wasn't going to pay $125. I did ask if I could get more than 1 appetizer or entree. They said, yeah, happy to let you try portions or as much as you'd like, but just know that if you get too many appetizers, you're probably not going to have room for entrees. So just know that you can sample a few different things even if you're not getting the tasting menu. So for my starter, I got the Alaskan king crab salad. This was very good. This was huge pieces of king crab with mangoes. It had lime. There were really good flavors that were married together in this dish. It was very fresh. It's just very refreshing. I didn't mention, I got a compliments of the chef. This was some couscous along with some caviar and some French cream, and that was very good also. The bread was delicious. They brought a couple of choices of bread, some French baguette, and some other type of bread. It was like a croissant, but it wasn't exactly a croissant. But no matter what it was delicious. I also got the Vidalia onion tart for my starter, a second starter, just so I could try a couple different things, and that was good as well. I will say that this is very hearty. The slice of Vidalia onion on top, it's on like a cream, which it makes up the center of the actual tart. And then there's also slices of Vidalia onion inside of that, and it's all in like a tart crust. So it's pretty hearty. It's also some vegetables there on the side. It was like a little side salad. But I was definitely starting to feel full once I was done with that second appetizer. So for my main, I went with the filet mignon, and this came with a side of some vegetables just there on the plate. And I will say, this is sort of where things were troubling for me, because it was good. It wasn't like it was a bad meal or anything was bad, but as I ate it, I kept waiting for that oomph, that this is what you came for. This is what you paid $75 cover charge for. This is like Michelin star chef quality, and I just never got that with any of the food. Nothing was like knock you off your socks. But constantly in my head, I kept thinking, I feel like I could be having a better meal at Eden right now. In fact, I know I have had a better meal at Eden before when I was on the Apex last year for $55 cover charge. That meal was a lot better. The meat that I got, I think I had a filet there. It was much better. It tasted much better. That was sort of a letdown. The Le Voyage experience, as far as the food goes, the menu goes. Now the food was cooked perfectly. It was cooked to the temperature that I requested, but it just wasn't, to me, up to quality like I thought it was going to be for the price and for, you know, the expectation that it was coming from a Michelin starred chef. So it was a good experience. I'm glad that I went, but it's not a place I would go again. So I guess that's my bottom line review. It's good to try once, but I'm not gonna go back. So for dessert, I had the peach rice pudding, and that was delicious. I did enjoy the dessert. And then they brought me some little lemon cookies to go with the coffee that I got. So I can't say enough good things about the service, the speed of the food as it came to my table. All that was fantastic. Just the food didn't have that that I felt like it should have, that I was expecting it to have. Maybe I went in with too high expectations, but they did sort of let me down a little bit in regards to food. I'm just saying, there's better food on the Celebrity Beyond. Go to Eden. Go to Rooftop Grill. So I think that pretty much brings us up now to the next night of the cruise. So I'm not really eating a lot of breakfast or lunch on the ship. If I am, I'm grabbing pastries at the cafe on deck 4, which those are always fantastic. Those are always very good. I go there and get coffee and a pastry or two sometimes in the morning. Just know that those are always good. You're always going to have reliability there. It's going to be quick, friendly, reliable service. We're on day 7 of the cruise, and anytime I walk up, they're like, Americano. They know me, and so I appreciate that type of service. So the next night I did go to Normandie for the main dining, and this was another experience where when I left, I was like, that could have been a lot better. The reason I went for Normandie this night is because they do have one of their specialty offerings, because there are 4 main dining rooms on the Celebrity Beyond, and each of them, while it's free and it's included in your cruise fare, they do have a menu that's exclusive only to that restaurant. So in Normandie, I know from the Apex that they had this beef tenderloin. It's sort of wrapped in a puff pastry, and I really wanted to get that again. So I was like, I'm gonna skip Blue and I'm gonna go to Normandie this night. And the food was good. I had some scallops for my appetizer. It was served in some cream with some mushrooms and some cheese. That was good. I also had a Caesar salad for an appetizer, and that was fantastic. And then of course, my beef tenderloin. The service is the one place where I'll say wasn't great. And I understand that it's the main dining room, there's a lot of people in there, but it was very slow. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, you're going to Blue, you're going to these specialty restaurants, of course the service is different. And I understand that, I expected that. But this was different from service I received on Apex in their inaugural season in the main dining room, which was impeccable service. So it wasn't terrible, it was just something to note that service wasn't as it could have been. I did order a coffee with dessert. With dessert, I had apple pie with a scoop of ice cream, and they asked me if I wanted coffee. I said, yeah, absolutely. I ended up eating all my dessert and then still waited 5 minutes after I was finished with my dessert before my coffee came to the table. Just know that the dining room can sometimes have slow service, or at least it did this fourth sailing of the Beyond. So the next night of the cruise was back in Blue, and this was lobster night. But first, for my starter, I had the Blue Signature Caesar salad, and this was a smoky Caesar salad, one like I'd not had before, but I actually really enjoyed it. And if you've noticed on my food reviews and in my cruise videos in the past, when I've talked about food I've got in the dining room, I like a Caesar salad, and this was a really good Caesar salad. Of course, for my main, I had the lobster, and there's just something about the lobster in Blue. It just tastes like some of the best lobster I've ever had. It was so tender, it was so flavorful. They put a cream on top of it, and it's served with rice, and it was just fantastic. They actually brought me 2 lobster tails, and I devoured both of them. And for dessert that night, I had the poached pear, which was just some pear and other mixed fruit, along with some cream, and that was very good. While I was at dinner that night, the waitstaff actually convinced me to come back the next morning for breakfast. This was the only day, because I actually had a late excursion that day, that I could have breakfast in Blue, so I opted for the Blue Parfait, and I'd never actually had that one before either. That was a new one for me, but it was very good. And then I also had, for my main that morning, the Eggs Benedict, and that was so good. It actually had spinach on it. It had a nice thick piece of ham on each. Very good. Enjoyed the breakfast so much that morning. However, that night I made a big mistake because I was like, well, I want to try more of the specialty dining. I'd actually gone back up to Rooftop Garden Grill just to show you and re-emphasize how great that was. They didn't have any reservations, so I was like, well, I'll go to Raw on 5. Now, Raw on 5 is the like sushi. They have more like an Asian cuisine. However, it is a la carte. It's not like the rest of the specialty dining on board where you pay a set cover charge and you can order whatever. So in Raw on 5, I ended up having the fried calamari for my starter, and it come with a couple of really good sauces. I will say I think the fried calamari was $9 or $11, and I was kind of surprised when they set it down of how small it was, and that was my first indication, I guess, of things to come and what to expect. I also had the homemade lobster and shrimp wontons, and those were delicious. Also about $9 or $11 for just 3 little wontons, so I thought that was quite pricey also. And then for my main, I had the miso marinated ribeye, and I thought this would just be, you know, a grilled ribeye. This was actually sliced, but it had some really great vegetables on it. The meat was great also. I loved it. I loved the taste of it. It was good food. It was good service at Raw on 5, but I wouldn't do it again. And I know you're thinking, well, you paid $41. That's how much my entire bill was that night. And you got quite a bit of food. I could have gone to any of those dining venues and that would have been covered in my cruise fare. So it's essentially, and the idea I think with the specialty dining is you're paying a cover charge above what you've already paid for dinner. So you might say, oh, it's a great deal to go to Fine Cut Steakhouse. It's $55. You're getting so much food, eating the same way. But you got to realize you've already paid in your fare for dinner for that evening. So you're really paying an additional supplement for that additional food, the better quality food that you're getting. So I felt like paying the a la carte, paying the $41, I didn't get really a great deal or great quantity or quality of food to justify that cost. So for me, it's not anything that I would go back and do again. It was just, like I said, it was good, but I can't justify that price, and I won't go back to Raw on 5 again. I feel like it was something that I experienced, I can say I've done, I can mark it off my list, I can tell you my review of it, and that's it for me eating at Raw on 5. The next morning for breakfast, I actually had breakfast up in the Oceanview Cafe, so just off the buffet, so I'll put a video of my plate in there. I sat that day on the back of the ship, looked out over Marseille as we were in port. It was raining, a rainy morning that day, but the food was very lovely. And then that afternoon, I actually stayed on the ship that day, so I had the opportunity to finally go to Eden Cafe. And if you've not seen my videos before, I love Eden Cafe. I discovered it when I was sailing on Celebrity Edge back a few months ago, and I love that venue so much, but it's only open for a couple hours at lunch and on sea days at breakfast and lunch. But I haven't been able to get there any part of this cruise, but I love their food. I got 2 of the pork sliders. They were delicious. I could have just eaten a whole plate of them, but luckily Eden was closing. I got there kind of late, didn't have the opportunity to get more. I also had some delicious potato salad on the side, washed it all down with a nice, cold, refreshing Coke Zero. I did try one of their brownies for dessert and a piece of the chocolate cake. The chocolate cake was just okay, but that brownie was delicious. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the cruise. Tonight is the last night. I am headed to Blue. Not sure yet what I'll get, but I'm going to put footage of that in right now and tell you what I got. So roll that. Oh, didn't that look so good? All the food at Blue has been good. all cruise long. I'm so glad that I was able to get into Aqua Class and get back to Blue. Like I said, food is one of the best parts of cruising, but especially when you're cruising on board Celebrity Cruises, because I believe you're going to get food on here unlike what you'll get certainly on other cruise lines, but also just in general. I think they have some of the best food you'll get anywhere on land or at sea. So thank you all for watching and sticking out all the way to the end of this food review. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. If you watch my videos a lot and you've seen my food reviews in the past, I want to hear from you. So let me know, do you like this style of doing it where I just sort of film it throughout the cruise and talk about what I've had? Let me know what you think about the format, because I think I might continue this in the future. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure.